more time. Hey, welcome to the show. As the song says, you are watching the Mystery Hour. In case you were wondering what this is, changing the mic gain. Here we go. Hey, welcome to the Mystery Hour. We're doing it again. Episode number 9,842 since we started this quarantine. Let's see, we've got a couple comments up top. Who's this beardy McBeardface on my screen? It is I. This is the same guy. I just have some shag carpeting on my face. Where has Sheep Boy been? Fair question. Sheep Boy is also disappointed we haven't seen Sheep Boy for a while. Since we've been dealing with more serious topics, I haven't wanted to make it too weird. We're going to bring him back, though. Sheep Boy will be back because I know that's what people want more than beardy McBeardface. If you notice, if anything looks different, I moved the lighting a little bit and I like it. And I'm like, why didn't I do this a very long time ago? All right. So guess who we have on the show? Heather Hardinger. Heather works with the Taney County Partnership. She's also the chairperson for the Mayor's Commission for Human Rights here locally. And she's cool. She has guitars behind her on the wall. So I think she plays them, but it might also just be that's what I would do. I'm going to start doing that when I'm on any sort of business-related Zoom calls. Just buy props to put up in a room behind me to make myself look really interesting. So Heather will be on. And that's the story. Also, I want to check in, see how you guys are doing. How are we doing? I am feeling better in this garage than I have in a while because today's a little bit almost chilly. So I'm not just sweating bullets out here. It's kind of nice. Let's get this started. We'll get this started by, okay, so I said yesterday I went a little kayaking adventure. And then I went with my friend Brandon. Then we went to Rockaway Beach. Raise your hand if you've been to Rockaway Beach. I am infatuated with Rockaway Beach. I used to work for the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks. And it was in my territory where I would go set up blood drives and stuff. And you don't ever drive by Rockaway Beach. You might remember it. It was in the news like 15 years ago because they were wanting to put in a riverboat casino. And it went for a state vote. It was like a big deal. And anyway, Rockaway Beach, this is fascinating. I don't know if anyone cares. Rockaway Beach used to be a tourist destination. It was the White River that went through there. It still goes through there, I believe. I believe it's the White River. I think so. It was a tourist destination. From like the 1913 was when the Power Site Dam went up, and it made that water, made the river wider, and you could jump and swim in it and boat and whatever, and it was warm. And so there's this little, it looks like a little seaside town, like a little beach town. But when they built Table Rock Lake and dammed that one up, then it was in between two dams, or something like this. I don't have this exactly right. And when Table Rock lets water out, what they let out is the bottom of the lake. It's like 200 feet deep, and it's cold. So what happened to Rockaway Beach was this little beachy little town, the water became cold, and no one wants to go jump in cold water. So it's this little bit of history, it's still there, of this little tourist town. And they still have like little motels and stuff like that. I find it charming. There's stuff certainly a little run down. Anyway, got done floating, and then we went there and had a drink and a tenderloin. If you go to a small town diner, you have to get a tenderloin, is the rule. We all know. Anyway, that reminded me of how much I love visiting small towns and stuff. Last year, we went to, I did a video for Pulaski County. Pulaski's like up I-44. Fort Leonard Wood is in Pulaski County. There's a million billboards if you're driving by. They really advertise with billboards. But they asked us to make a video to the tourism, Pulaski County Tourism Center, asked us to make a video. So we did. And it's pretty fun. So here's, if you want to go out and enjoy the outdoors, I would recommend Pulaski for sure. Here is, which one is it? Here is, huh? Oh, okay. Here's our video for Pulaski County. Hi, I'm Jeff, standing in Pulaski County, home to the most accessible, awe-inspiring natural beauty in the Ozarks. And I'm here to tell you, there's more than you thought in Pulaski. Nice to see you again, Bruce. You can drive 33 miles of original Route 66. Why did they build Route 66? So people from Chicago and LA could get to Pulaski County. You can see gorgeous Devil's Elbow. The only thing evil about this place is the feeling of superiority you have knowing that you're here while your friends are at home on their dumb phones. Afraid of the water? They got you covered. People come from all over the world to Rubadoux Springs. It's the 15th largest in the state. The top 14 have allegations of steroid abuse. Why do they come to Rubadoux? To scuba dive 2 miles of underwater cave. But if you're not scuba certified, we invite you to scuba the land. What's that? You want small town quirky charm? Come to Waynesville and check out their unofficial mascot, Frog Rock. It's a rock. You can taunt it and it can't do anything to you. Hey Frog, you suck. You can see Pulaski's famous local rapper, LL Cool Gray. You can see real soldiers proudly trained at Fort Leonard Wood. Or you can come to Old Settlers Day and see a ghost soldier from the Civil War. You can put your hand right through him. You're right, there is more than a day's worth of activity in Pulaski County, which is fine because guess how many places to stay there are here? Nope, 29. Here's a list of all of them. And finally, if you can't make up your mind, you can visit the Pulaski County Tourism Center. It runs on renewable resources. It burns the fuel of the jealousy of everywhere else.
When you find yourself with no place to be, just hop in the car and come to Pulaski.
You can see Pulaski's famous rapper, LL Cool Gray. Did you flip off the camera? Oh, nice. Okay.
When you find yourself with no place to pee, there's...
I'm gonna give you two backstories. You didn't ask for it. One, the original idea for Bruce, which was a quail or a pheasant, I don't really know, was to have like a falcon or an eagle or something. So we're like, let's order one of those. And then we find out it's illegal because you can't shoot birds of prey or something like that. We almost got one through apparently illegal means overseas. And we would have just made a video and then people would have been like, you guys are illegal. And two, LL Cool Gray, I just looked on the Pulaski County's YouTube page and I was like, there's a woman rapping. There's an older woman rapping. We need to have her. And LL Cool Gray, there she is, the star of it. Okay, let's move on to the star of this show tonight, and that's Heather Hardinger. Heather's with the Taney County Partnership. She also is with the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights locally, and she's interesting. So here we go. Bring her in. See how this works. Heather.
The mystery hour. The mystery hour. Yeah.
There she is. Hi, how are you, Heather?
Hi. Hi, Jeff. I'm doing great. Hello, everyone out there.
Here's an interesting thing I found out. We've known each other for a while, but I didn't know you have apparently lots of fans. Like I announced that you were going to be on the show, and everyone's very excited. Did you know you had so many fans?
I did not know I had fans, but I have friends that like me. So, I mean, that's always good.
Those are the best kinds of friends.
Yeah.
That like
Maybe
you.
I think I have friends that don't like me, but, just to mix it up a little bit,
We all do.
Yeah.
So first, wait. So you're in your sister's house right now, right?
I am. I'm in my sister's house. The crazy story is we just moved in next door. So, and by just, I mean, you can still smell fresh paint. It's been like 3 days. So my house is a mess and the internet is questionable at best. So I'm here at
Yeah.
my sister's house and in their lovely guest room, and here I am.
So does your sister play guitar, and or do you play guitar?
Yeah, so my brother-in-law plays guitar,
Okay.
and I'm in a pretty musical family. So
Yeah.
we grew up in Alaska, in Fairbanks specifically, because people ask, because a lot of people have been to Alaska, which is very cool. I saw an Alaska
Yeah.
license plate today, and I was like, yep, I don't know who that is, but I probably should. And yeah, we would play music, like not just in our town, but Alaska has a lot of small villages, and we would go play like gospel music, and yeah, it was fun. So sometimes we play music for fun. It's a great life.
That's cool. I can't sing at all or play an instrument. I would be impossible to be around, I think, if I did, because I'd just be playing all the time and wanting to impress people. I would be
Yeah.
incorrigible. But I
Well,
imagine
don't
you
buy a
handle it.
ukulele. Don't buy a ukulele or a harmonica, because you will be all over that. I can see it now. So
Yeah, I think so. Ever since I grew a beard, I wanted to play harmonica. I don't know why.
yeah.
Um, okay, let's start with that. Now, tell me just briefly, what do you do with the Taney County Partnership? What does this mean? What do you do?
Cool. So I am the director of workforce strategy and programs, which is a really fancy way of saying that, I work in economic development and I help businesses that are looking to attract talent to the area or develop the current talent they have. Fancy terminology. Developing talent pipelines is kind of what I
Yeah.
like to do. Focusing on our school district, focusing on different opportunities to bring in new workforce. So we have many, many open jobs in our community, even post-COVID. So I try to figure out creative ways to solve some of those challenges.
And haven't you, as part of that, gone to Puerto Rico? Or am I making that up?
That is true.
Yeah.
That's part of our talent attraction initiative. This is something that we kind of thought up one day as we were having a conversation about how to fill a huge need, like a huge gap in our workforce. And someone said, "What about Puerto Rico?" And I said, "What about it?" And they're like, "Well, they're US citizens over there." And I was like, "That's true, they are US citizens. Maybe some of them want to come to Branson to live and work." I was like, "That's a crazy idea, but by golly, we're going to try it." So we went down there and met with some really cool people at the Puerto Rico Chamber of Commerce, and like the rest is history. So yeah, it's been very interesting. I do have a degree in multicultural studies, and like I definitely use my degree every day. Thanks, Evansville
Yeah.
University. You done good. So it's just really cool to learn about different cultures and work with employers to help assimilate some of these folks into the area. Like, it's not an easy thing. It requires a lot of intentionality, but
Yeah.
I consider it to be a fun challenge. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I know just from my little knowledge that there's certain fields, and I don't know how this relates COVID wise, but pre-COVID certainly, there's certain fields in Springfield, in the Branson area, where there's shortages that if we could just get people there, if we get people trained, there are jobs, right? And so your job
yeah,
is to be like, look here, if you need a job, we have them in these fields, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in Puerto Rico specifically, there was a huge, like, unemployment was much higher there. There are not as many opportunities, and not just in like frontline work. I think when people think of Branson, they may think just of the hospitality industry or the restaurant industry
Hmm.
or attractions, but there are opportunities at all levels. So, sometimes we see people that come in for a job in a certain industry, and then I have a conversation with them, and I'm like, well, actually, these other employers are hiring. Like, let's try to see if we can make a better fit hire for you and find you a job that aligns more with your skill set. So we do a little bit of
Huh,
that too. It's just relationship building.
that's so fascinating. So,
Yeah.
and then like, so as you mentioned, like maybe you mentioned this before, but in talks of like diversity and growing diversity in this not very diverse area, that seems like an avenue that kind of connects that, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And I think that this kind of activity and work is not just like once we've recruited people, we're kind of done thing. It's like, we have more brown people in town. My job is done. It's about making sure that people feel at home here and really asking them, like, what are you thinking and feeling? Like, how can we make this a better experience for you? Um,
Yeah.
we don't all see and experience the same Springfield or the same Ozarks. So, oh, here's a dog friend who has come, burst through the door. Um, so yeah, I think that it's really important to understand that this is a journey. It's not like a zero sum thing. It's not just like, okay, well, we've got our workforce and that's it. That's all we need to do. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, that's fascinating to think of. Because so much in larger scale issues, you can just think in numbers, and you're like, okay, we have better numbers now, but like to really add this human element to it, and then so then that transitions well into the Mayor's Commission on Human Rights. Can you tell everyone what is that?
Yeah, so Mayor's Commission on Human Rights and Community Relations, very long name. But what the commission was designed to do was address issues of discrimination in Springfield. And I joined the commission, I believe, 3 years ago. And, we've really been working hard to not only deal with the individual cases that we have come in and learn more about city code, which is always super enlightening. And there's a book on that. And just helping people feel heard is a lot of what we do. We sometimes are at different festivals and events in Springfield to let people know who we are, because a lot of people don't know who we are, what we do. And we're actually looking to see, what value can we add to the current conversation of what's going on? And that's been a focus for us for about a year now.
Yeah, and so you recently there was a big survey you guys put out. It sounds like you're going through now, asking people about. I lost my words here. You explain it. Asking people about what?
Would love to, Jeff.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, so in January, actually on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we launched our first ever inclusion survey. And as
Inclusion.
far
I
as
knew it started with an I. Sorry, that's
inclusion,
the word I was
yes,
looking for.
you got it.
Keep going.
Yeah, so we launched the survey because we're having these conversations about discrimination. We know it exists in Springfield because we are listening to people who have experienced things. And we realized very quickly that we really don't have any reliable data that tells us who is experiencing discrimination in Springfield, where are they experiencing discrimination, what are some things that they've experienced, where have they experienced it. So we launched this survey, and about more than 2,000 of you took it, which is really great. And I was told it was the best response of almost any survey that the city has put out, which,
Oh,
of course. But I think I think people really wanted to let us know what their attitudes and thoughts were about how welcoming Springfield is, and provide some feedback to us on things we can do to make that better. So we're currently analyzing that data now, and I think it will be really important for us as we move forward.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
don't, I guess you don't have the results, but have you, maybe you've looked through some, have you considered like what are some of those things to make it better?
Yeah, so I mean, we've heard from, diverse voices all across the board, some who have given us different ideas for events and activities to have, different ways that we can make Springfield more inclusive to people whose first language is not English.
Hmm.
And I think those were some things I was like, okay, yeah, like these are things to consider. And, we all look at the world through a certain vantage point. And, it was really enlightening for me to read from people's perspectives that I don't necessarily share. And then there was some kind of disheartening stuff too. Like, there were people that took it and they're like, I just wanted to come on here to say that all this diversity and inclusion stuff is not necessary, and Springfield's just fine the way that it is, and you should stop rocking stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and we want to hear that too. Like, we wanted to really truly hear what people think and what their attitudes are about this, so we can really shape what are the next steps for us. We're ready to take action. We're not here to create another task force to, appear to be doing things. Like, we really want to move the needle and start having conversations and start really analyzing what we can do to start making Springfield better today, not 10 years from now. We're ready.
Yeah. Not another, we've received input and we put together a long-term plan. And if you pay attention real close in 10 years, you might see something, but like,
Yeah. And people are
let's do
like,
stuff.
I don't know what this means, but I do know that I've experienced discrimination. So what can you do for me?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So you just had a piece published in Biz 417 magazine today. What was that piece about?
Yeah, so I have been having different conversations, not just during this time during the protests, but I just having conversations with people, including yourself, about ways that we can be better allies. And I think right now, conversations about race are very popular and they're blowing up in a lot of circles. And I've said this on social media, but like, I'm here for it. I love that people are here to learn. I think that there are specific ways that people can add value to conversations and really allow Black voices in particular to be heard right now. And I think that's very important. So I actually shared a Twitter thread that had some really, really great points in it. And I kind of tailored it a little bit to our community to make it specific about what folks in 417 Land can do to support the Black community, elevate Black voices, and be what this writer calls non-optical allies, which just in a nutshell to me means like, how can I support Black lives right now in a way that's meaningful, in a way that doesn't draw attention to me, to where I'm like, you know what, I have something to say about this. And, you know, I know a lot of people have taken to the keyboard recently. And I've told a lot of people who have asked me, like, what can I do to be a better ally? You know, just listen, read. There are a lot of great publications, books, podcasts, movies, documentaries that can help you learn a little bit more about the Black perspective and why the Black Lives Matter movement is so important, not just for Black folks, but it's important for a greater society. Like, this is not just something that's just popped up out of the blue. And it wasn't something that popped up out of the blue in the 1960s either. I think Black folks have been telling communities how they feel and how we should be reacting for 400 years. Like, we've been having these conversations. And now people are really ready to engage in a meaningful way. And I'm very excited to see that. I really hope the momentum goes beyond just like a hashtag or a simple post. Like,
Yeah.
I hope that that Black voices and Black stories continue to be shared within the community, because, you know, it's important. It's important people understand that.
You know, it's interesting kind of taking what you're saying right now. And then last night we had on John Sellers, who's with the History Museum, and we were talking about, you know, the lynchings on the square and Civil War and slavery in Springfield. And one of the most heartbreaking parts of it, of what he was saying, was that Springfield was a pretty well, obviously I don't know all the standards at the time, but pretty well integrated, more integrated than I thought it would have been in the late 1800s. The largest grocery store in town was owned by an African American man. There was a man on this African American man on the school board, and like it felt like it was trending in a good direction. And then of course that just devastates everything. And one of the things, all the layers of tragedy with that, one of them was that he said that the African American community isolated and in Springfield, because of course, right? And so it seems like there's an element to what you're saying of like, yes, if you want to be an ally, make intentional efforts to, I don't know what the right word would be, but integrate our lives, integrate your allyship into Black businesses and that sort of thing, right? That was a
Absolutely.
long.
Yeah. I think a lot of people probably can't even name maybe like 5 or 10 like Black owned businesses in town, or don't know the owners' names, but you know, we know the names of a lot of other business owners in town. And so I think for a lot of people, this wasn't really on their radar. I think, you know, this is something that people need to just listen to. I mean, it's complicated in a lot of ways, but then in a lot of ways it's not. So, but sometimes when we're more concerned about people hearing what we have to say versus listening, that really shines through. And I think that it really frustrates people. It definitely frustrates me sometimes.
Yeah, I imagine so. So one of the other things that you mentioned as we were talking ahead of this is yes, I love the opportunity to talk about diversity. Sometimes these weren't words you said exactly, but I feel burdened with that's what people want to talk to me about. And you're like, but I'm also all these other things. So my question for you is, you strike me, I mean, from this conversation and knowing you before, as both kind of cool and kind of dorky. So I want to know your.
That's so generous.
I want to know I want to know one of the dorkiest things about you.
Okay, dorkiest things, like, I don't know. I really like true crime dramas. Like, my sister and I both love true crime, and we're like, did you read about the guy who's like, we listen to these podcasts, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I can also nerd out about just about anything. Like, if I get really passionate or interested in a topic, like I will read as many books as possible on the subject. I'm reading articles, like scholarly articles or whatever. And sometimes that information like goes in my brain and just like goes out. But sometimes it becomes
Yes.
useful later. I'll be like, I remember I was reading something about that.
Yes.
But I'm a learner. I like to learn things. I like to keep things fresh. But then I kind of nerd out too about just about like music I like and different like cocktail recipes and like food that I like to eat. It just depends on the day. There's so many things to enjoy. Like,
I I have a few thoughts about a couple of those subjects. One,
sure.
we when this all started, we were like, oh, let's get maybe it was before, I can't remember, but let's get like a cocktail book and we'll learn how to make some cocktails and stuff. And we were like, cool. And then we were like, every recipe requires some odd thing I don't have. There's so many like elements to make a good cocktail, which I'm not great at.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. Like
and
some people just have vermouth laying around, but
there's
I
got
don't
stuff.
always have that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
oh, so it sounds like you're the same way as me, which is I will listen to a podcast and then I'm like, awesome, I know it. But I didn't know. It actually just went in and then just quickly evaporated. So then someone will bring up some sort of subject of a podcast I've listened to, not the podcast in specific, but that subject. And I'm like, oh, I know about bananas. I know the history of bananas. Let
Yeah.
me, and then I'm like, it's gone.
Yeah.
I did know something.
Or it's just an interesting thing to just like bring up when like you're at a party or at a networking event and nobody's talking and nobody knows what to say. And I'm like, you guys hear about the Wonder Bread controversy? And they're like, what are you talking about? And that's not real. I actually just made that up. But so you're going to Google it and probably find nothing. But,
Yeah.
just like random stuff. Like, and sometimes I post random facts on Twitter. Like, I don't know, there's like lots of McDonald's in like foreign countries and even some parts of the US that are like in literal houses, like old mansions that they turned into McDonald's. Like, I don't know why I thought that was funny or cool or like interesting. And people are probably like, what is this content? Like, what's happening?
So, yes, I'm starting to get more a glimpse of why you said I was being generous with the cool part. It
Yeah,
leans further
for
towards the
sure.
cool part.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we'll end on McDonald's and houses, but
Sure.
also like you said, we've had similar conversations before, and I know I think the community, obviously, you've made friends and fans over the years, like appreciates what you do with such intentionality, and I don't know, you're a real asset to us. So I'm going to let you get back to painting your house.
Yeah. It's a real dooze. Actually, that's probably been very boring, but I've listened to many podcasts during my
Oh
painting
yeah,
times over the
yeah.
past few days. But I will say one last thing is that, for a lot of people, racism is a very uncomfortable topic. We don't want to bring this topic up in our workplaces. We don't want to bring this up with our friends or with our grandma, who's very sweet, but says really racist things sometimes. And we don't
Mhm.
know how to have these conversations. And I think it's really important that we, just take a deep breath, buck up, and start having these conversations. Like, racism is very pervasive, but it's a system. Like, it's not one person or one entity. It's the whole system was created to marginalize and oppress. And that's like saying a lot in a very, very few words. But my point is that it's all of our collective responsibility to fight racism and to call it out and to not, shy away from it and not like avoid having the conversations because we're afraid of what our boss will think or we're afraid of what like, our second cousin's going to think and grandma's going to be met. Like, start having the conversations now. Like, if you have white relatives that are uncomfortable with it, they need to be reading and learning as well. So we all have to be invested and have skin in the game if we're going to move the needle on this. So that's what I have to leave you all with.
That's awesome. That's a great challenge.
We can end racism, guys. We can.
Yeah,
We can.
I love that. That's great. Okay, well, oh yeah, wait. I think people are going to want to follow you on Twitter now. What's your Twitter handle?
It's Ever Strange. My maiden name is Strange, which just really brings this whole conversation together. So EVER Strange is my handle, Twitter handle. So follow me for random facts about corporations and McDonald's and social justice and
Sums
economic
you up.
development.
Random facts and social justice.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to now remove you from the call. Get ready, get ready, get ready, remove, and goodbye. Pretty cool and dorky, right? But I don't know. I love that she took the time to say all that at the end. It's a good challenge for us. And these, as she said, these systemic elements that have been there for a long time, designed that way, it takes all of us to undo. Yeah, we're gonna keep doing this. And I don't have a guest booked yet for tomorrow, but we'll work on it. But I might have a really cool guest soon, working on from far away. But that's all. I'm going to do this again. I haven't done this for a while. I'm going to end the show by playing the song one time through and putting up some of your comments, which is a lot of kind of quotes from what Heather had to say. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Here are my favorite comments.